The stock market just hit a terrifying milestone that we haven't seen since the dot-com crash. And with Jerome scheduled to speak just in a few days at the Jackson Hole, this could be the one signal you can't afford to ignore. With all being said, we got a lot to talk about, some supports and resistance, and of course some plays towards the end of the video, especially with September coming up. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of news, a lot of things happened yesterday, and honestly, the market isn't really looking too good overall. Without further ado, man, let's get started. So S&P 500 has been ripping, and everybody's seen it. The S&P 500 price to book value has passed the level from the dot-com era. And at the dot-com era, we are at 5.1, and now we're at 5.3, which is insane. The price to book value is the value of the company's total assets minus its total liability. And it's what people would pay each dollar compared to their assets overall. This is a concerning stat, especially being above the dot-com era. This isn't really to scare you, it's just to show you, so keep this on your radar while trading overall. The stock market is aggressively overvalued right now, especially with the weak September coming up. We could have probably the biggest, weakest September that we've seen in a while, and or this might just keep on rallying. This can, honestly, this stat right here isn't really too important, but the market can fall the next couple of months, the next couple of years. And honestly, man, it just takes time, but it can happen. And especially with September coming up, this can be scary. Diving a little bit deeper into what I'm saying with the weak September, although we did see that August was supposed to be weak because it's the post-election year. But honestly, right now, August isn't really looking too bad right now, but we still have, a few more days. We still got Nvidia's earnings coming out. Nvidia can be a catalyst that can bring it down, and the Jackson Hole as well. So keep that in mind overall. But this is one that I wanted to watch, is the September, which is literally next month in a couple of days, and it is pretty bearish overall for the since the 1950s, past 20 years. And the past 10 years, especially the post-election years as well. So honestly, keep this in mind overall for September. Everybody knows it's going to sell off. People might even take profit while they still can. And we might even see, a pre-sell off with this being said. But if we look at October, November, and December, it is pretty bullish, especially in November. So honestly, keep that on your mind too, because we could play some longer term call options towards the end of September and or just whenever we see a bottom. But you can't really, test the bottom. So you might get in that call option, might be a little red. But when October and November comes up, man, you can make a decent amount of money with some longer term call options. I'm just putting that out there, and or you could just buy shares of certain companies. But speaking of the Jackson Hole, so we do have a massively overvalued market. And this week, the one man who can move is about to speak. Jerome at the Jackson Hole has history of taking the markets there. So this links the state of the market of the event that could trigger a move overall. So keep this in mind, but don't be too scared, because honestly, he can be a little bit more bullish overall. And honestly, people are waiting for a rate cut. So honestly, people are thinking that we can get a rate cut in September. So maybe we can get some good news, bring the markets up to end the August, and then just look good overall. We also seen yesterday all day, literally nonstop, Microsoft sell off a decent amount. So I just wanted to kind of point this out, because we can either fill the gaps back upwards and or start selling off even more, look a little bit more bearish. And for like the overall market, man, the SPY didn't really look too good. We kind of just consolidated a little bit, bounced up and down. Some key stocks that did kind of stand out. One was Apple at first. We did like itch up decently high to that 233 level, and then we sold off quickly after that. And then we kind of just came back just a little bit, but didn't really look too good. Nvidia kind of held up pretty strong, but then sold off and then kind of consolidated. But then a lot of buyers came in towards the end of the day. Another one was Palantir, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later, but it did sell off a decent amount. And we're just looking bearish overall. And this wartime news isn't really making Palantir look good overall. So we get to support and resistance of plays. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. But we also had, when everything sold off in the morning, we had crypto sell off a decent amount. But we kind of filled the gaps back up. But then after hours, we kind of sold off once again. But XRP is still above that $3 level. We fell below it for a little bit yesterday, but maybe we might fall below it once again and make the overall markets look bearish. And then the same thing with Bitcoin. It kind of filled the gaps back up, but then kind of filled the gaps back downwards. And also Ethereum. Honestly, just crypto in general did the same move for everything. But honestly, man, Ethereum, Bitcoin, everything is looking pretty good in the short term to load up. But with that all being said, man, a lot of Ethereum bears got washed out yesterday. So let's talk about some earnings. It might not move the stock market too much, but it could show consumer spending and stuff like that. So we do have Home Depot before market opens. And then tomorrow we have Target. And then a lot of people are watching Walmart as well on Thursday. So keep all of this on your radar. You guys can screenshot this list if you guys want it. First link in the description below, I have a bunch of courses to help you guys become more profitable. So go check out these courses. With that code down below, you guys can get 50% off. And the courses are already relatively cheap. So to the calendar, man, today is Tuesday, August 19th. So we have housing starts, building permits, and we got some speeches and some appearances. So honestly, nothing really too major that can move the market. I think Thursday is probably one of the biggest days because we had the PMI, initial jobless claims and stuff like that. But this is the market or what to watch for today. And then for tomorrow, we just have some speeches and the FOMC July meetings minutes. So keep this on your radar as well for tomorrow. Back to the Jackson Hole. Jerome is set for a speech. And honestly, last time he spoke, man, it was pretty bearish. And a lot of times it was pretty bearish overall for the market. But the Jackson Hole is an event that can make the market, and most of the time the move is to the downside. We're expecting a rate cut in September, but the way he talks can move the market. So have this on your radar overall. And we can just watch, the chances of a Fed rate cut. Right now, it is a 93.5% that we get a 0.25 basis point cut. Even in a flat market, there are huge pockets of volatility. The solar sector exploded higher on government news, while natural gas stocks fell off a cliff. This is a market where you have to be selective, which is why we're going to dive into some key levels of certain stocks very soon. So Zelensky met Trump yesterday at the White House. Along with him were other European leaders as well to discuss a potential ceasefire or a peaceful resolution. Trump is set to talk with Putin after. Some things that can really move with this is oil. We did see some movement. And also, we did see some movement with Palantir to the downside with this. With their big reach in defense and a lot of government contract, it does move a lot with wartime news, and this headline and future ones can move Palantir. So keep that in mind overall, especially if you're deep into Palantir, we might see it falling down. I think we even got like a price, like a good price for Palantir is like $40, $30-$40 yesterday too, and that did bring some bearish sentiment into Palantir overall. But overall for the market on Monday, we did see the market do basically nothing. Volume was low. Conviction was nowhere to be found. Wall Street is holding its breath, waiting for Jerome. And that tells you everything you need to know overall. We do have NVIDIA working on a chip that's basically better than the H20 chip for China. So we might see a better chip coming out, more chip sales. And honestly, man, this might be a little bit more bullish for NVIDIA overall. So you can keep your eye on this if this news does get out, and like how long the chip would take to be made and when they can start selling it is probably going to be the most important thing overall. We also had some more news on Intel and the stake that the US is trying to get. So let's get into a wider story right now. The US government isn't just funding Intel anymore. They're thinking about buying it, and 10% is insane. The plan is to turn billions of dollars from the CHIPS Act into a direct 10% ownership stake. For years, critics have slammed Intel for spending over $150 billion on stock buybacks instead of building new factories. So now the government isn't just writing a check, they're buying a seat at the table. And the market is completely torn on this. At first, the stock surged of the news, but now we did see a decent sell-off in Intel overall. Intel did get hammered on Monday as investors realized what the government ownership really means. Politics, red tape, and decisions that might not always put shareholders first overall. This is a battle between government bailout and a government takeover, and it makes Intel a must-watch stock right now. So keep Intel on your radar. You can potentially make a lot of money upside and to the downside, especially with the price that Intel is at right now. I have it in my long term, and I'm still holding it, and I'm willing to hold it for a couple of years anyway. But honestly, it's just some big news to watch overall. But with that all being said, man, when this news did come out, man, we were rallying, and then this is when the news came out, and we started selling off soon after that. Honestly, back down to like 23.2. Then we found like a bottom. But then after hours, as you can see, we're rallying back up. We're at 25.3. So honestly, man, depending on where you are, do not hold anything overnight for Intel. This is going to be very volatile. News can hit, especially with the government being involved. You never know what could happen. With that all being said, though, man, for the long term, man, this is looking pretty good overall. I think my average cost is like $19 with this. I don't think I have too much, but it is still making my long term a little bit more green. And I'll be coming out with a video updating you guys on how that's going and what new investments I made. But let's get to some supports and resistance for certain plays. So AMD is one that I was watching yesterday a little bit, but wasn't really willing to buy anything quite yet. Was thinking about doing a put option, but it was already down at this range, so I thought it was too late to get it. And honestly, overnight it would have hit pretty well, but then at the time for a day trade, it wouldn't have hit With that all being said, though, AMD is indeed falling a decent amount, and it's not holding up as strong as, Nvidia might. We did get some news saying that, the China sales isn't really as strong as it used to be and stuff like that. So look at AMD to the downside. I told you guys to the downside yesterday, and I'm still on the bearish side of AMD for now. And we could probably get back in the range of like that 172 to that 173 level. So honestly, keep AMD to the downside on your radar unless we just fill some gaps back up. I think we got to see that 178 and maybe even 180 to make it look a little bit more bullish overall. SPY, man, SPY is stuck in a range, but honestly, overall, we are in a downward trend. So honestly, man, you can see it going to the downside a little bit, but you can still play it both ways. Just like this range that we were in yesterday, we didn't really have like a flag forming. If a flag forms, I try not to play it. But if we're in this range right here, you could have played, the highs of like 643.7 and the lows of 642.3, and you could have just played like a call option here, let it go up, sell it, and you can even play a put option if you really wanted to. But with that being said, man, just be careful with SPY. We're not really moving as strong as we moved on Friday, let's say, or even Thursday. We had some better movements, some more clear movements. But yesterday we were just kind of consolidating until the end of the day. So honestly, keep SPY on your radar. If we fall below this level, the 642.3, we might look a little bit more bearish. And if we fall above like 644, we might look a little bit more bullish overall for the SPY. And just have the overall news and everything on your mind too. Nvidia is one that I've been watching too, and we kind of filled the gap back upwards from that sell-off that we had on Friday. So with that being said, man, you could see it maybe retest some highs, maybe get up to 183.5 to that 185 level. And or if we, bounce off of those, you could probably see it back at the lows of like 182 to 181. With that being said, though, I still have the same put options as I had yesterday, the 182.95 and the 183.52. I did indeed play this put option yesterday, and I got out pretty early. As you can see, this white line is when I got out. I just had a limit sell on it because I didn't expect it to go down so much. But honestly, man, it hit that little level that we had, and then you could have made even more money if you held it a little bit longer. But with that all being said, man, I'm going to be looking at the same put options, but I might not be looking at this level so much. It might pass it, and then I'm going to be looking at that 183.5 first and then play my put option. But it just depends on how the overall market looks, of course. If the SPY is going green and everything else is rallying, I'm not going to get a put option at this level quite yet, but we might, scope out maybe a 184 to like a 185 put option if we are rallying a decent amount. It just depends on overall news and stuff like that. You got to be updated overall. And then for a call option, I might be looking at the lows from yesterday, the 181 level and or even the 179.5. I like to get NVIDIA below the 180 level at least. But honestly, just have your patience overall for NVIDIA. But we're going to be watching these levels honestly pretty deeply. But the 181 first, and if we break below that, I'm going to be looking at that 179.5. Just have your patience in this market, man. That's all you really need, and you can still make some money. Next one is going to be Apple. Honestly, I don't really like how it's looking right now. It is below the old call option level, honestly, to say, but we are looking like we're falling down a little bit more. So I'm going to be watching how it holds to 230. If we break below that, I'm going to see how far it goes down. And then maybe if it retests that 230, that might be when I'm going to play a call option and hope that it goes to the upside even more. This one I'm going to be buying like 2 to 3 weeks out just to give me some more time. But with that being said, I'm gonna have my patience as well, because then if we fall down, we retest that 230, and if it fails to break that, that could be a good put option level as well. But honestly, just have your patience with this one overall. These are the stocks that I'm mainly watching today, but we can look at some supports and resistance overall for other ones. Tesla isn't really looking too bad right now. We can either fill the gap back up and or sell off even more and then test that 327 level. And if we fall down even more, it's going to look bearish. But honestly, I haven't really been trading Tesla, but honestly, you can get some great movements overall with Tesla, especially when it opens up. We move one direction and we move one direction like basically pretty frequently. Like we move down, but then we kind of filled the gap here. I mean, kind of like found a bottom here and then went back up. But honestly, Tesla is kind of hard to read, but you can make a lot of money if you trade this one. I think I had one. I was going to buy it, and then I put it on my watch list to see how it would move. And literally within like 5 minutes, it moved up like $600. I was like, God dang. So honestly, it was a regretful one. I wanted to buy it, but at the same time, you got to understand risk to reward and just stick to some rules when you trade, guys. But with that all being said, man, the stock market overall is moving decently slow. But I think when Jerome comes out, maybe Nvidia's earnings, we might see a little bit more volatility into the market overall. But right now, I think everybody's just waiting on the next headline. and honestly, anticipation for September. With that all being said, man, good luck trading today. Comment down below what stocks you guys are watching, how much money you guys made for this week. Let's lock in some profits, and good luck trading today, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.